What if a single act of betrayal ignited one of history's most brutal clashes between legendary kings?
It's a hot sip Master Godwinson of the legendary warrior King Harald Hardrada. Having formed a defensive shield wall, the Norse invaders grasped their swords and battle axes. In 1065, the reigned supreme under the nominal rule of King Edward the Confessor. The invading Godwin as the most powerful noble of the land during the reign of Canute. Godwin became the trusted lieutenant of Canute, following his victory over Ironside in 1016. Marrying the sister of Canute's brother-in-law, using it as the greatest monarch's regent. By Canute's death in 1035, a tenacious Earl of Mason's around,
throwing his support behind the restoration of the native house of Wessex in the person of King Edward, later known as the Confessor. Godwin also had Edward marry his solid earls in their own right, in hopes of sealing her throne. Yet not all was harmonious between the king and his mightiest subject.
Godwin won a passage to throne back Edward 1036.
Edward had lived in exile in Normandy and northern France since his father's ousting from power by Canute, the young Duke of Normandy, the future William the Conqueror, during his tenuous minority. Given their dark history, Edward was at best ambivalent regarding Godwin as an effective and his initial opposition to his restoration. Matters came to a head in 1051.
Godwin and the other earls have my support.
and you have ours, so Godwin's a better score installing his own of ours.
Leveraging enough support to drive Godwin and his family out, it was around this time that King Edward may have promised the throne and effected a comeback just a year later, forcing his own restoration as Earl of Wessex. Yet the death of Godwin himself does not ease Harold's, replacing his feloniously murderous father. The 1050s saw an acceleration of Godwinson power that did not go unnoticed by other Grin in their own right.
With the major province was the province of Isangria, that made Harold split Earl.
Tostig, I will not yield to this Godwinson power. You challenge the king's will, Elfgar. Exile me if you must!
Even joining forces with King Edward's enemy in the Welsh king Gruffydd, though ultimately mollified by the restoration.
By the early 1060s, the Godwinsons held Mamustakilo and governed as a non-Godwinson.
Harold's own direct influence had only expanded with Tostig's aid, Gruffydd, in 1063. However, if Edwin similarly smoldered at the dominance of Harold and his brothers, his own family, 10 years into his tenure as Earl of Northumbria, had assassinated Dublin Wilson Snice. For the northern lords of Stafford, the king back south, they seized York and killed Tostig's officials. The rebels sponsored Earl Edwin's younger brother Morcar as their choice as Tostig's replacement. Not only was he the brother of Harold, but was also the brother-in-law and favourite of the king himself.
Of all the Godwinsons, Tostig was held in the deepest affection by Edward. Yet brotherly love would not be enough to save the ousted Earl, and Harold was sent to effect a compromise and potentially ignite a civil war, casting Tostig aside but maintaining the peace. Harold, of course, chose peace.
Stab me in the back!
And an enraged Tostig stormed off into exile. Meanwhile, and Harold was extended near the Worthens as stirred the king's crown. A year Boadia found him as Carsis, while as the unwilling guest of Duke William. A tale of betrayal and kingship.
Your loyalty is a luxury for kings.
If gripped, like and subscribe for more.